I would like to call the Westonka Board meeting to order. If everybody would please rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Turn off this. Chair moves for approval of the agenda with the removal of the contract for Cameron Nettle for a long-term substitute kindergarten teacher position at Shirley Hills. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Announcements. Westonka Staff and Retiree Recognition, May 8th, 8 o'clock in the Performing Arts Center. Policy Committee meeting, May 11th, 5 p.m., right up here in this building. And the regular board meeting, May 11th, 6 p.m., right here in this room. Are there any members of the public that want to talk to us tonight? Said not, then we'll move on to the student rep report. Welcome again, you guys.
Thank you.
Fun time at bingo.
Oh yeah, it was a blast.
Yeah.
All right, just starting off with some sports. Obviously, our spring sports are in kind of a full swing now at the start of their seasons. We do have a couple updates from some of the teams. The girls lacrosse team will open their season this Thursday at Hutchinson. And then the boys lacrosse team lost to Williams last week, but they will host Hutchinson this Thursday once again. The track team competed for the first time last Friday at Rockford and will take on another conference meet tomorrow at Dazzle-Brocado. The boys tennis team faced a tough loss against Holy Family last Tuesday, but are looking ahead towards the next couple weeks of play. And the baseball team is off to a rough start, going 0-2 to start the season, although the season ahead is looking much brighter.
And then moving on to activities, there's actually a lot going on right now. Everything's coming to the end. Math League recently competed at the state tournament. We placed 5th in the AA bracket. Last year we got 4th, but it's all right. We lost a lot of good seniors. We did our best, I guess. Moving on to DECA, we had 47 students going to ICDC this year, so we'll be competing in Atlanta. We're right here in and then junior Ella McClellan was named the Vice President of Communication for the State Board of DECA this year, so that's a great achievement. And then obviously we have that bingo night, which we were just talking about. The National Honor Society also had a very successful blood drive, second one of the year on April 2nd. We got 64 units of blood, which helped to save 192 lives, which is very, very impressive. And then additionally, this next Saturday, we will have our roadside cleanup at 10 a.m. And then senior Hannah Christensen qualified for the National Speech and Debate Competition. She's the worst student to ever do this in school history, so that is very amazing. And then our speech team was named Wright County Conference Champions, so they had a very good year this year. And then finally, this past weekend, Ava team campaigned for a spot on the Minnesota Association of Student Councils. Unfortunately, she did not win the spot, but she learned a lot from the conference anyways.
And then Student Senate hosted a very successful Stuff the Bus drive in early March, collecting over $2,500 in donations. The middle school collected 2,634 items. Hilltop collected 2,986, and Shirley Hills left us all in the dust with 5,771 donations, both items and monetary. And then Science Olympiad competed at state. Carlos Jordan and David Watola placed 4th in their events. And then onto the arts. Both the Westonka Bad Jazz and Jazz Band will be performing Coffee House Jazz at St. John's Lutheran Church on Saturday, May 2nd. And Westonka Middle School will present Shrek Jr. this weekend at the PAC.
And then academic-wise, senior Erica Johnson was named the recipient of this year's Athena Award, which is amazing. And then Westonka High School has had a 97.7% graduation rate, which is among the highest in the state, which is also awesome. And then finally, students are currently preparing for the AP tests, which are coming up. A lot of work is going into that right now throughout the school. Stress is a little high. And then finally, construction. Construction is moving along well. The north area, it looks wonderful. I'm not sure what's going on there, but I saw outside.
It looks great.
Administrative stuff, yeah.
Yeah, just,
Exactly.
minor details.
And then just the students, well, I wrote this, but we're anticipating the north doors may be opening soon. Just looking forward, as always, the classroom are meeting expectations. So yes, thank you.
Two things. One, just in comment to the north end, one thing maybe you don't know or think about, there's two levels there. One thing that's gonna be different, right now, if you're going to see a counselor at the school, you have to walk right through the administrative offices.
Yeah.
In the new facilities on the north end, the administrative offices, the principal, vice principal will be on the lower level.
Okay.
The counseling will be separated and on the upper level.
That's
So there's
awesome.
a little more privacy in that.
Yeah.
Second thing, besides serving on the school board, I serve as the chair of the Westonka Community Food Shelf Board. So on behalf of them, I want to thank you. Last year, the food shelf gave out 1.8 million pounds of food.
Wow.
And so your donations to that, both cash and food, through all the schools are just huge. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you for doing that.
Thank you so much.
Thank
All right.
Yeah, thank you.
Good luck with things.
Thank you.
You know, it'd be nice maybe if we could get the students for speech, speech come in and explain that whole process. I'm not real familiar with it, that might be a good one to have come in and talk to us sometime.
Now we'll move on to construction report. Can't wait to hear all the good news.
Great. Weather's cooperating so far.
So that beautiful section there that reaches out with all the windows, is that the guard, is that where the, what we just.
Yep,
That's
this
the
is the north.
The counseling
The
and
upper,
the,
upper part. there will
that's
be
okay.
Yeah, so
That's what I thought.
upstairs
That's
counseling
nice.
and this new entrance and
Look at it, it's supposed to be by May, they're gonna be in there. Looks really cool.
It looks great so far.
Right. Just back to the color-coded map, the light green is what we're talking about, the admin 2 stories, that's where we're wrapping up. The red area is where we're off to next. All right, what have we been doing this last month in the admin space? Just doing layout, framing, mechanical roughing, drywall. Let me get back up here. Don't do that again. All right. Just finishing up the finishes in the admin space. We are in the corridors, just doing a little bit of work. Still up in the penthouse, mechanical work, but kind of behind the scenes. And then we are into the gym now. Started some demolition work. So what we have coming up is finishing up the admin space for handover. There's an abatement going on in the gym. We'll be doing some more finishes in the corridor. Some pictures. Here's some pictures of the tennis court. So that's been demolished. See the piles of rock. And then we actually do have some crews out there as we speak out on the track. So we're starting to poke away at that. Right now we're on road restrictions, which I would assume by the end of this week those are going to be off, given that we're in the 60s here. So it'll be full steam ahead out there with work. Here's just another photo of the front. Finishing wrapping that up this month. Lower level, you can see the casework's in, ceiling grid's in, tiles up in the bathroom. So now it's just flooring and ceiling grid, or ceiling tile. So we get those spaces wrapped up and ready for handover. These are some of the.
What are we looking at right now?
This is
the counseling area on the second level. So it's just a little bit behind the admin. area, but they'll both open up at the same time.
So what day is that at this point?
Looking at the first week of May.
And the north entrance then opens at the same time?
We're gonna do a temp asphalt entrance there because they need to grade and rework the parking lot, and that'll happen this summer. So we'll have this temp asphalt entrance for the month of May while they're starting to do the courtyard, because that won't be able to be an entrance anymore.
So all that mud and all that becomes temporary asphalt.
Well, not all of it, there's gonna be about a 12-foot path, and then you're gonna have plenty of mud if you wanna get messy.
As long as you stay on the path, just stay clean, but yes. We'll do that, yeah, temporary, then come this summer, just get it all back to where we're supposed to be. All in all, we're feeling really positive where we're at with the admin space and on track for that turnover. Again, the big push will start to be on the outside as well, so we're feeling good about where we're at. We feel like we got our ducks in a row, and now we're just waiting for the.
Any surprises in the gym at all?
No, not at all. I mean,
I saw the old floor, the slip things.
Yeah.
Really, you got to see the old floor?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a picture.
Really? Center court had the old MW.
No way,
Oh,
really?
yeah, it was.
But it's a Bondo kind of floor, so it's not wood.
Oh, I see.
So the media center just is opening up too currently. I don't know if you have slides of that here coming up. If you can just go style there. What's absolutely amazing when you walk by is we've always had those skylights, but due to the painting that they've done around it, the light comes in like never before.
Oh.
And so it looks, people say, when did you put in the skylights? I didn't know that was part of it. No, that's always been there, but it had a concrete color up there, and that absorbed it, and now this reflects.
Oh my gosh.
And
It's
you
so-
walk, it's really amazing when you're in the, just outside of our current office in the student commons and you look there, there's a whole natural light wash as you look in there that has it's a great visual.
Yeah.
Where we never really appreciated it to that degree, maybe years ago, but lately
Yeah.
it hasn't been that way. So
I agree.
it's really an impressive space. And so they're, right now, if you were in the picture to the right, they have a bunch of bookshelves that are gonna be there. They're not up in that picture, but they have a lot of work to restock. And once that gets restocked, that'll be moving ahead. But it really, it serves so much more. I mean, obviously it's a media center, but it's another axis of natural light coming into that whole building, which works really well.
So Gary, what's going well overall, and what's not going well overall?
I would say going well. I'll back to just working in a functioning school. I mean, I think the kids and the staff have been great. I mean, so they're very accommodated. I mean, everyone we have a lot of meetings, with staff, but everything seems to be going smooth. Everyone's excited. They realize that there's a little bit of pain, but it's temporary and it's going to be great on the back end. What's not going well? It's always weather, right? That's always like the wild card, but of course it's been nice, and now we're feeling positive. We have the big courtyard construction project to come, and that keeps people up at night, but we feel like we have a plan in place.
And we start that as soon as the north entrance is open?
Yeah,
So that's going down a whole level, right?
there's a lot, just to get the footings, and it's,
Well,
so there's a lot of excavation.
That's where the weight room.
Yep.
Was storm shelter.
Yep, so that's a lot of work, but we've been thinking about it for a year now, so.
Is the track torn up already too?
Yeah.
Yes, yep.
It is, okay.
Where will I saw when I was walking up at the community center, I saw that they were taking down the backstops on field 7, 8, 9, starting to work on that.
Yep.
So where will football be this fall, or like in August when they're practicing?
So right now, we've worked where football most likely will be on field 4 across, and we will rent a Conex box so that instead of having their shed, they can have their equipment by them. I would say, if I were to answer a little bit, I think our students, our staff have been great, but I'd highlight, for example, our track team right now. Our track team, they're doing track without a track. You know what I hear from people at track? They're excited about what's coming up. And obviously, it's sometimes painful to be as creative as they're trying to be because they're doing things in ways that we've never had to do. We've provided a track. They have been nothing short, Sarah Schwartz, Jamie Lundgren, all the way down, nothing short of absolutely incredible. So that spirit of saying, we're part of this, we have to work through this. And we've seen that department by department, but that's a pretty big example of someone doing something completely different. We've had teachers teach in classrooms that weren't classrooms before, students that have learned in those spaces. And when you two are around, you're gonna have, it happened with every board member I've gone in there with, students coming up to board members saying, isn't this great? I mean, they're coming to them with excitement of how happy they are. And so, yeah, there's a grind with construction. But I'd also say what's really good is like this admin addition, I mean, we're tracking on time. And so that's a good news item that we're hitting our dates. We were able to get into the gym as we wanted to, and that's going really well right now. So we're gonna take that. Like you said, the courtyard, and anytime you're doing this, but the engineers and the contractors have met, they've reviewed plans and re-reviewed plans. We believe we're ready for that.
Yep.
So.
Kevin, what about the timeline for the fields next to the WAC entrance?
So we're hoping that the multi-use field can be in September, pending weather. And then we think the stadium will be November. And so those are the dates. And then obviously what soil conditions are to how our weather is obviously a big thing. But the contractors that we have, they really go after it when the weather is good. They're the same group that did the tennis courts. And so I've been really pleased about how they approach it, and they make me feel like even if we have some tough weather, we can be working our timelines.
Yeah.
We're hosting our first tennis tournament tomorrow. First time we've actually had those teams.
Only not the old course that gets got torn.
No.
Think about that though, because it was last week that we did groundbreaking. Last week was groundbreaking in this district.
A
year ago.
Yeah.
And look at all that's developed. And the big pressure at that time was, when are we gonna be able to do that surface on the courts, and when can we get in, or when are they gonna start? And there was so much angst of just wanting to get going, and now they're fully operational. They're excellent.
Gary, I was thinking about what Kevin just said, is that, like the staff and the students have really bought in during the construction, and I think part of it is the way you guys have worked it, where you're opening different parts in stages. So like even the seniors who don't get to enjoy the benefit of all the new construction have seen some new construction. And I know when I toured with Kevin, it was a senior gal I knew that talked about how great everything was.
Yeah.
And how much they love it.
Yeah.
So they are getting the excitement of seeing, and then I think that gives them more ownership in the whole process and in putting up with the construction.
Right. The benefit of getting to see a little bit of what it's actually all going to look like when it's done.
Yep.
So beginning of May, the north entrance opens.
Yep.
And the courtyard closes.
Yep.
And people will walk to their cars, and from their cars, they know what, they'll still be able to drive up here.
It's going to get to be back to being more normal for them. I mean, they had both, but you look right now, they have to all come around. The majority of our parking will be going straight in now instead of having to walk around. Where it'll be a little bit of an adjustment is how we do the Performing Arts Center.
Yeah, right.
For that piece.
So how messy of a demo will it be during May? I mean, is it going to be crazy?
We're going to keep it
Will you be able to
access,
access
but it's going to be pretty. Yeah.
Will it? Okay.
Yeah, but
Because this whole parking lot's going down here, right?
Not almost all of this one and a good chunk of the north one.
Yeah, as far as site work, I mean, we won't touch too much parking until school's out, obviously, and then. But everything will. I mean, when you guys come back in the fall, it's gonna everything's gonna look new, so.
This could be a mess out there.
Well, so
We should tell everyone, like, just go on vacation, go on summer break, go away for a long time.
hopefully at the next meeting, we are showing the admin area open pictures, and that'll be exciting.
So, thank you.
Okay, great, thank you.
Move on to the treasurer's report, Ralph.
Begin with Squires, Waltzberger, and Mace for staff and retiree recognition, $300. Kraus Anderson, staff and retiree recognition, $1,000. Special Olympics, Westonka Special Services, $500. Bound Farmers Market, Hilltop Primary School, $100. American Online Giving Foundation, Hilltop Primary School, $48.55. Blackbaud Giving Fund, Hilltop Primary School, $50. Blackbaud Giving Fund, Westonka High School, $20. Westonka Hockey Boosters, Westonka Hockey Team, $1,645.90. Butch Humbert Student Scholarships, $100. Minneapolis Foundation Tyler Hill Sunshine Scholarship, $2,000. Patrick Jackson, James Jackson Memorial Scholarship, $2,700 and $2,750. Elaine Marshall, Austin Goodard Memorial Scholarship, $1,000. Troy Hemme, Shirley Hills Wolf Ridge, $525. Melissa Yates, Shirley Hills Wolf Ridge, $1,000. Year-to-date contributions cash, $225,474.90. And Mr. Chair and fellow board members, I looked at the check ledgers for March, February, and January. And it all seems to be in good order.
Thank you, Ralph. We'll move on to teaching and learning. Mark?
All right. I have 4 updates for you tonight, and it is spring, and that also means state testing, and that is what we're into. We're fully into state testing this week and next week. And I just put the calendar up there, and we have MCAs in reading and math and in science. Everything is going great. Everything is going fine. And I just wanted to point out tonight that the reason why it goes fine, it's like a well-oiled machine. That is the 381-page procedure manual. And to give you context, back maybe 15 years ago, that was about 100 pages. And so that is the manual.
That's called progress.
I don't know. I guess it is. It's detailed. It's detailed. That procedure manual is something that all administrators here, they know. They maybe don't have it memorized, but they know exactly where to go in that. And that becomes the basis for our training. And before state testing occurs, we get our hands around what's changed. We have proctor training. I meet with IT to make sure all the technologies are working. There's a big component where we work with special ed, and there's all these different accommodations that we have identified by student, and then there's a whole MDE database that those are all uploaded. And then we prepare the students, we talk about the tests in the classroom, we give them, there's modules where they can practice the different tools of how to take the test. And here we are. So one thing that happens now is that we can get results back. We'll call them draft preliminary results within an hour after a student finishes. Those are not official, but we get an idea. This year, like science, the reading MCA results will not show up until October. It was the same thing with science. For the state, they gather all the data. They have a committee in the summer. They review the data. Then they set the cut scores or the benchmarks. And then that gets released next fall. So as much as our staff, I remind them all the time, you're not going to have the results. They take pride in them. They want to see how our kids did. And it can be really hard waiting till October to see them. But that'll just be what it is this year. And then next year, spring 2027, it'll be a normal year of testing with reading, science, and math. It'll be spring 2028, there'll be a new MCA for math test. And so more to come much later on that, but.
Mark, what about the 11th graders?
Yes, so they should be in, I'm sorry, under math, where it says grade 8 and 10, reading, that needs to be changed to 8 and 11.
Got it. I'm only asking because I know Maddie took it today.
That's right.
So, I was like, oh, that's weird that's not there.
Or she said she did.
Yeah, what's going on
No,
here?
I was over there today. I probably saw her and a bunch of other 11th graders, and they were very active with them. The other thing I wanted to mention to you, maybe you heard the term MTAS, and there is an alternative MCA that we administer to special ed students. You have to qualify for it. It's a very rigorous process to administer the MTAS, and now it's called the alternative MCA. And those are tests that align to the state MCA, but it's just a different. It's based on the disability. It's simpler. It's not as complex. It's more appropriate for the special ed students that have very specific disabilities, that it would not make sense to give them that state test. That in itself has its own training and processes for setting up, and that goes on as we do the MCAs. So we have moved to the alternative MCA in science and reading. It is still called the MTAS in math, and that'll change in spring 2028 when the new MCA 4 math test comes out. So that's another piece of this whole state testing. Okay, want to give you an update on where we are in the district with artificial intelligence, and I'm really happy to share that this is a fast-moving train, as you know. I can also say that we're getting after it, and we're securing the floor. And where, in these bullet points, where that top one, where there is not a lot of guidance from the state, from the federal level, it's really up to local districts to really figure out what's our direction. And that second bullet point is really paramount, where data privacy of student data is number one priority when we're working with AI. A lot of work is going in to how we're going to use AI, what it means for students, what it means for staff, what it means for our families. But this is where we are right now, and I think about that second to the last bullet, both higher ed and K-12. We're all trying to figure it out. And there isn't a lot of guidance at the moment. It just keeps rushing at us. But I will say this, as you've heard me speak and Kevin speak, we do have a partnership with QBS, Quantum Bridge Solutions. And I maybe have spoke with you about Rick and Jake. Rick, a retired superintendent. Jake, he is an absolute expert in technologies, AI, just anything that around this arena. We have a partnership with them. And what they're focusing on with us in our district is in the lower right-hand corner, coming up with AI guidance for teachers. We have completed that. It's 12-point guidance. We've done training with our staff. So it's an initial training that's been done. And now we're working on a procedures manual. And that'll be our playbook. That'll be the go-to document that anything that we're doing around AI in this district. That'll be like our procedure manual with state testing. It'll be for AI. That is in formation right now. And we'll have something set to go for the start of this coming school year. So that's just securing the floor. And then the other things that are happening will be, you will see very soon, the MSBA model policy of AI. I'm going to come with a Westonka version for you to look at with an administrative reg. And the goal is going to be, our request will be for the board to approve an AI policy by the start of the school year. So we have time to do this work together, but that'll be your piece, and more information to come your way on that piece. I also want to mention April 29th. This is going to be a really important day. And we have a day scheduled where QBS will be with us in the morning, working with some very key staff members on developing a procedure manual. And in the afternoon, it's all going to be about how do we roll out AI for staff and students for the 26-27 school year. It'll be a big planning day for us, but it'll be important that we come to August workshop week, understanding what we need to train on, understand what we're going to be communicating with students, what are the different tasks we're going to get after during the school year next year. So that is going to be happening April 29th. And then in June, that acronym there, Minnesota Generative AI Association Conference in St. Cloud. We're sending 7 people to a 2-day conference. And the focus is going to be on networking. And it's really different districts that are doing some really neat things, unique things. It's a time to collaborate. I really hope we can walk out of there with even better ideas on how to support our AI implementation. So my message tonight is that we're after this. We're doing things. We're not just waiting for things to happen, but we're trying to be very proactive in this whole realm of AI. The last 2 things I'll share with you, our foundation, when we do any of our work, will be with this HAIH framework. And the simple way of stating that with you is that you start with an idea. Think of AI as a thought partner that can support that work, but you don't stop there. Whatever task you're doing, it comes back to that individual to really make sense of what AI is suggesting to make it your own. That will serve us very well. It'll serve students very well, where you cannot just put something into AI, copy and paste, and say it's done. So that'll be a lot of conditioning, training of how we look at how to use AI. And then the other piece that we will be, our anchor that we focused on, number one, any work that we do, safety, security around our data and ethical decision making. That gets into academic honesty and how we use the AI, especially with academics, especially as students, how they use it. We'll be talking about that with them. And then we have to have a mindset that we're constantly learning. That applies to staff, that applies to students. We have a responsibility to work with our parents also and help them move them along with this. I guarantee you, you're going to have parents, probably will have a lot of angst. You're going to want to know what's being communicated and how our teachers using AI in the classroom. And that's for us to really communicate well and be consistent across our staff of how we're going to approach this. So I give you that update tonight. There's a lot of work in this area, but there's a lot of exciting opportunities for us also going forward. Any questions on that piece? A lot more to come. Just got just a couple last updates for you tonight. As you hear about construction and remodeling, I'm banking on when I heard that everything's on time, that we're going to have a nursing lab ready to go. We're going to have a machining lab ready to go. And with the nursing assistance program, we have our staffing. All those pieces are coming together. My next really big thing is going to be submitting an application to the Department of Health that everything gets certified. Not only for nursing assistants, but also for EMR and EMT. With machining, I would just mention, Mr. Kimmel and I, we had a day last week where we are coming up with the different outcomes for the first course in machining. And we are working with the federal Carl Perkins dollars to buy more equipment. That'll happen after July 1st. And then we'll have the space from when that machining lab was done until the end of first semester to get all this equipment delivered, installed. Neil is a one-man show, trained on these things, so he'll be ready to go second semester. So some really great things that are happening in that area. And you heard from the students tonight, and I'll just reiterate, just a fine graduation rate of 97.7. This is for the 2025 year. And what has happened is that we have now developed processes we are tracking very tightly. Twice a year, we have these big meetings where we are going through the data for dropouts, continuing students, those are ones that are in special education, and they graduate in 5 years, 6 years. The unknowns, that means they have left at the end of the school year. We have no idea where they went.
Only one.
Only one.
That must feel good.
It was very good.
That used to be a lot higher.
Yes.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we do now is that when we figure out first day of school, we're missing 5 kids. Where are they? We're calling those families. If we can verify they've enrolled in another school system, whether it's in this state or another place, we can change that code. That alone now makes our numbers more accurate than they were in the past. So we will celebrate that. That is a fine graduation rate, and I would expect it'll continue.
Mark, it's an incredibly impressive list, what you just quickly went through here of state testing and all that's involved, but just the learning targets that you continually lead our district through, to then talk about the new programming and as we navigate AI and the results that you're showing. But it's easy to present in about 10 minutes. Hey, here's some updates, but incredible work.
Well, we appreciate the teaching and learning meeting that we had, be able to talk more in depth about
Yes.
AI and stuff like that. It was very helpful for a lot of us. Thank you.
Mark, are you using AI to develop the district's AI manual?
No comment tonight.
So, we'll leave it at that.
Financial report, Kathy?
Right, good evening, everyone. I'll be presenting a brief overview of our financial data as of March 31st, 2026, and also just a high-level glimpse of our April 1st enrollment update. Okay, as of April 1st, we had reported 2,453 students, which is a gain of 1 over the prior month. So again, I always say whenever this gets filled up, I always know we're getting to the end of the fiscal year. So we'll report May 1st, and then following the month of June, we'll do the actual reconciliation. So this is always a good checkpoint to see how we're doing enrollment-wise. The financial data through the end of March, we have collected $24,065,000 or 53.6% of our revised budget, and we have expended $29,307,000 of our revised budget, or 65.8%. And both the revenue and the expenditures appear to be trending as we would expect them to at this point in the year. Just a few other quick notes. As you know, the adopted budget is underway. Later this week, we'll be issuing to our department heads and principals their budgets to work on. We'll be bringing that back for you at the June meeting. In addition to audit prep, we're also, this time of year, we always get quotes on insurance, property, liability, or comp. This time of the year also, I work with Mark on the federal title. We have an opportunity to revise that budget before year end, so we're working on that amendment window. And lastly, we have an upcoming board financial committee on June 4th. Any questions?
Thank you.
Yeah, so your agenda today, you're going to see that spring brings the topic of staffing. And so we've gone through a series of some of our targeted reductions. There's also staffing, some staffing changes that you're going to see in here where maybe some employees have chosen to retire or made other decisions. And so we also have started our hiring process. So this is natural that the consent agenda is a little bit longer with some staffing items when it's spring. Also, you're going to see on your agenda is the approval of our individual contracts, and appreciate board members that sat in and helped with that process. That went well, and pleased to have agreements from those groups. Lastly, I would just briefly comment, you have also our medical and dental insurance. A great decision for our district was becoming self-insured. It's really helped our district financially, but it's also helped, it's been really good for our employees that they have control of their insurance, and as a group they've made decisions of how that can best represent what they want, both in compensation and how they value it. And so that voice has helped the district financially, but it also has given ownership to our employees, and that's really served us well. And so we've had a good trend. This year our rates went up, but we've had a number of years where we were far below the average. And I think that's happening in a lot of areas right now with health insurance, so we're not alarmed. We're just appreciative of being self-insured and who we're working with on that. So in that, I appreciate the work of the group that manages our insurance.
Thank you, Kevin. Chair moves it for approval of the consent agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Move on to discussion action items. Chair moves for approval of action item 8A, approval of the group medical insurance renewal and premium increase. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Chair moves for approval of action item 8B, approval of group dental insurance renewal with no premium increase. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Chair moves for approval of action item 8C, approval of individual contracts. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Chair moves for approval of action item 8D, approval of obsolete equipment to be sold at auction or recycled. Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. The chair moves for approval of action item 8E, approval of the first reading of policy revisions to policy 4235, high deductible health plan with funded HRA plan. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Chair moves for approval of action item 8F, approval of the resolution relating to the termination and non-renewal of a teaching contract at Gregory Kimbrough, 1.0 probationary teacher. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Chair moves for approval of action item 8G, approval of changing the ESC custodial position to night shift hours. Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Anybody else have anything at this point?
I just want to say, yesterday there was an article, did anyone catch the article in the Star Tribune about metro school districts? And it was kind of a shame to see how many of the metro school districts have run deficits in the last 3 years. And I'm proud to say that we are one of 4 that have not run a deficit in the last 3 years. So kudos to,
Wow.
yeah, kudos to the school, one of 4 metro area. This is according to the Star Tribune, yeah.
Wow.
So,
I didn't see that. I didn't know there were only 4.
Fantastic.
That's amazing.
We a lot goes into that, right? It's Kathy and team gives us great guidance, but great a dashboard that we can see what we're doing. But it really involves everyone just being mindful and challenging. And there's a culture of let's try to save where we can save, and let's invest where it can make a difference. And I think that credit goes to many, but I really appreciate the finance committee and the board for your support of our programming, but also helping us be in this position. I didn't know it was 1 or 4 either.
Well, that's awesome.
That's a big statement.
It is.
Well, if there's nothing else, the chair moves for adjournment. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We're adjourned.
Thank you.